like that right now, but I will talk about this. One of the other things that's so important in a combat environment, life or death, surviving inside combat environment, kill zone, where there is someone is actually trying to kill you. That is that moment in that space and time when someone's actively trying to take your life. Part of dying in that environment is giving in. Not physically, but mentally. You can't quit. You cannot quit. I remember a story about a sailor, I don't know if it was a sailor, I think it was a sailor, I don't think it was a cruise ship, but he fell off the back of an aircraft carrier. He spent 3 days in the Caribbean taking his blue jeans and pillowing him up to keep himself afloat. Now I'll tell you what, 3 days alone in the middle of the ocean, there was no quit in that man. And you don't have to be Charles Atlas or Hulk Hogan to be that person. It is what is inside you. It's not what is on the outside of you. Sometimes the least likely appearance or appearing person is the one who's going to jump up and stand tall in that moment. It has nothing to do with physicalness. It has to do with the mindset, the mentality. Never giving in, not quitting, knowing that there's something, whether God came down to you and said, you have to survive for your family, you have to survive because you want to hunt down those SOBs that did this to you. There's all kinds of different motivations that take place. But whatever it is, you got to be aware of those things, to grab onto them and think, this is it, I'm not dying, I'm getting through this. Now I'm going to tell you a quick little story, which is now available to the public. I was debriefed on it probably about 15 months ago. And I'm just going to paraphrase it because I'm running a little bit out of time here. 2 Navy SEALs were in charge of a small Iraqi unit that were doing some house clearing in Iraq. And they went into a house where there were known bad guys there. This was a known target, pretty good value in this house. So they sent them in, and notoriously the Iraqis are a little bit scared of explosives. So when they were going to breach the last room, they knew these guys, they'd cleared the whole house, they knew the last room, it was barricaded, they knew the bad guys were in there. So when the guys set the demo on the door and were going to detonate it, the Iraqi guys backed off, but they backed way off. And what started to happen, because the bad guys knew that the good guys were outside the door, they started firing through the wall. And one of the Navy SEAL guys was shot 3 times through the wall into his body armor, okay? Just as the detonation takes place and that door blows open and they literally spill into the room and all of a sudden they're by themselves. Well, the first SEAL that went through the room took a headshot directly to the head and it dropped him dead that instant. SEAL number 2 follows through the door through momentum. There's 4 guys in there, 2 guys with AK-47s, 2 guys with M4s, and they open up on it. 3 AKs and 1 M4, I'm sorry. So number 2 was actually impacted by rounds 2 to 3 times before he even entered the room when they were shooting him through the door. Number 1 was killed instantly upon breaching the room with a headshot. SEAL number 2 went in amidst a hail of fire. He took 15 rounds in a matter of a couple seconds. Not all of them hit the body armor. He was shot through the arms, he was shot through the legs, penetrated through the side, I mean, severely wounded. Destroyed his M4, completely destroyed it. He went down, pretended to be dead for just a moment. The bad guys looked around, decided it was time to reload. He pulled his SIG out, he shot every single one of them in the head, killed them dead on the spot. He could remember one thing. His SIG had no handles on it, and he could remember the spring grating against his hand. But in that moment in time, he was not going to die, and that's pretty overwhelming odds. He shot all 4 of them dead on the spot. Now he took a total of about 17 shots in that probably 40 seconds of entire time, was severely wounded, grabbed, his radio was destroyed because it had been struck. He grabbed his dead buddy's radio, called in for assistance, and they brought the medevac in, and he walked out of that house and climbed onto the medevac under his own power. Now, what does that say to me? That man was not dying. no matter what. And I'll tell you what, I've got another short little story that I'll tell you in a second, but that's part of that never give up. You're not going to beat me. You're never going to outgas me. My convictions are not affirmations. They are convictions. I will not die. I will not give up. I will not let you beat me. I will not lose. Okay? Now, vice versa. CHP officer, Northern California, stops a guy. Boom. It's a felon, but he does not know that. He exits the car, tells the guy to get out of the car. The guy gets out of the car, wheels out with a .357 wheel gun. Bam! Shoots the CHP officer directly in the abdomen. Boom! Knocks him down. He falls to the ground. Guy hops back in the car. Wham! He's gone. He crawls to the car, radios in for assistance. First officer on the scene gets there. The guy's dying. He is dying, dead on the ground, right there. He assesses the other officer assesses the situation. He's trying to find out where he's wounded, where he's going to stop the blood, where's the entrance wound, etc. He strips his clothes off, gets him in covered. The guy's going into shock. He's getting white. His pulse is going down to zero. His respiration's going all the way. He's in deep shock already. There's no wound. There's no entrance wound. He's going, what the hell's going on here? What's going on? You're not shot. There's no wound here. Where were you shot? Where were you shot? The bullet hit his belt buckle, traveled around his belt buckle, shot out the back of his pants. He was not hit by the bullet. It didn't penetrate his skin. He was dying, literally dying. And shock will kill you as dead as a knife wound to the throat. It will kill you dead. You cannot, once it sets in and it has its hold on you, it's not up to you then at that point. It's up to somebody bringing you back out of it. He was dying and wasn't even shot. So what happened there? I'm shot, I'm dying. Duh. You shoot me, I'm not dying. Until that ticker literally stops, I'm not dead yet. Okay? That's part of survival. Okay? I've got to wrap it up because I'm going to get the big boot here in a minute, guys. What is reality-based training? Identify the combat environment and recreate that environment as closely as possible for training. We talked about that. You never want to experience combat for the first time, experience something for the first time in combat. Rules of hand-to-hand combat. We didn't get too much time on it. You have to control the distance. He who controls distance generally controls the fight. How do you do that? You either take it away or you get away. That's what control of distance is. The opponent must react to you, not to him. We talked about that. The other thing is, you got to destroy the opponent. And what I mean by that is if it takes death to make that happen, that's what it has to be. If it takes a good thumping to make that happen, then you can modulate it. But you have to be sure that guy is no longer a threat to you or the people that you are protecting. Superior tactics make up for inferior skill. That's what I'm talking about in here. If you have the mindset, I don't care if you're a good boxer or not, the mindset will generally carry the day for you. Present the least vulnerable target. We didn't get to that. Manipulate the environment in your favor. Make use of cover. Make use of concealment, etc. Make use of improvised weapons. We didn't get to that. Instinctual triggers, eyesight. If I get your eyes, you can't see. If I take away your balance, you're going to fall to the ground. If I can obstruct your airways or blood flow to the brain, you're going to react to that. Or if I cut a tendon, break a knee, or cause something that you can't literally fight off mentally because it's a physical break, that helps too. Never run out of gas. Be stronger than your opponent. We talked about creative visualization. In the end, and what my goal is again, I cannot train you to be a fighter, okay? But I can train you how to train to be a fighter. That's my goal. To just give you those skills to pick it up and learn how to do it. Can you turn the lights out in here for a second, please?